You probably think that's great.
Andy Warhol is one of the most influential artists of the 20th and 21st century within contemporary artists, but also within the way that brands use artists and artwork. And I think it is not by accident that the frame we think about putting on Instagram, that image, is exactly the proportions that Andy Warhol put many of his main protagonists in on major adverts and campaigns and logos within his lifetime.
And then like lifesaver beanbags everywhere and the canapes and
Well, the idea of taking the everyday object, the soup can, the Chanel bottle that you see behind me, and of course Apple, perhaps the greatest technology brand ever to be seen by that genius Steve Jobs, and perhaps he foretold the future in that respect, that he knew what was coming. He saw, coming from the history of being an illustrator, that billboards and those everyday objects were those things that would become art in their own right.
I think he has an instinct, because it's easy to look at the iconic brands that was in the advertising world at the time. Apple wasn't one of them, you know. He would be working with the likes of Debbie Harry, which was easy and obvious because she was, you know, charting the top of the charts at that time. But to see something like Apple and understand that iconic, not just where the company will go, the symbol of that iconic Apple and that branding, I've got to tip my hat to the gentleman, really.
Big sense in one place. It's a much smaller site. So it's kind of
I think he created or invented the word icon. He was the first one to make people iconic, but not just persons, a tin of soup, a brand, anything. There's a watch upstairs, you know, the famous 1980s Rider watch, and he could turn anything or anybody into an icon.
To see the extent that Andy Warhol has influenced our lives, that he understood beyond anybody at all that they were powerful, and that almost that he understood perhaps that the things that he was painting then would reinvent themselves over the years.
everything was on expenses. If you had an interesting idea and said, I now need to spend 3 months travelling across Africa to get this story, people would go, sure. It's all that was normal.
We've mounted an exhibition that I think is one of the largest graphical exhibitions outside the Pittsburgh Museum. I hope that everybody that comes into the gallery will get a phenomenal overview of Andy's working practice, some of the highlights and most iconic works that he ever created, but also those of interest and obscurity that one may have never seen before.
Jelajahi cara baru mendapatkan informasi. Download MetroTV Extend sekarang.